Work takes note of. I feel peace.
How you guys doing? Good. Okay.
How are you?
I'm doing good. Welcome.
Thank you.
We're going to get started here in just a couple of minutes. I just started the online class, the online section. So, welcome to the one person online. That one person just might be me. Who knows? You know, it's so close to Christmas. Like we never know how these things go close to the holidays. Good grief. I don't know why I'm so hot. Hey, Gene. Thank you. This is new, right? So we were talking like Jeff and Maggie and, you know, it's hard, you know, I don't mind wearing a mask when I'm leading class, but you can't see my face. And sometimes that can be a little bit painful. So, so we came up with this, although the moment class is over, I have to revert back to the mask. So, hey, Tamara, give me just 1 second.
So I'm just showing you my morning text, which I sent out. It was a song of simple silence. Song of simple silence. It seems to play out during the day. I'll send it out.
All right, let's go ahead and get this show on the road here. Good evening, everybody here in person and online. Welcome to the Dharma Bum Temple, the class on loving kindness. My name is Alex. It's wonderful to be here with you today. Can you all hear me okay? Okay, good. So, again, you know, welcome to the Dharma Bum Temple. Hello, welcome. This is the loving kindness class where we're going to do a loving kindness meditation. You know, a lot of the classes here are pretty much the same, basically the same format. What's going to happen is we're going to have this short introduction. Looks like we have some new people, which is good, always. Then we're going to have the loving kindness meditation, which I'm going to guide, and I'm going to give you some instructions beforehand and as to what to expect. And I'm going to give you instructions during, so it's going to be a guided meditation. And then afterwards, we're gonna, you know, we're just gonna talk. I'm gonna ask you about your experience, and I'm going to ask you if you have any questions about anything. You can ask a question about anything, but as long as you know Buddhism related. So, is there anyone here brand new to the Dharma Bum Temple? First time Dharma Bum Temple. Okay, you too. Awesome. Welcome. And how did you find out about it? Did your friends tell you? Yeah, okay.
I actually came here once before, but I was confused the whole time.
It's my second time as well.
Oh, well, see, wow, even new and relatively new. I like that. All right. So this word that we talk about, when we say loving kindness, that's like the English translation or a common English translation for the word that we're translating called metta, M-E-T-T-A. And this is a very old word from the Pali language. The actual Pali language comes from about 300 CE. And it's the language that the sutras were written down on. So the Buddha died in around 486 BC. And nothing was written down afterwards. Nothing was written down to like maybe 500 years or so after he died. Until then, everything was an oral transmission. You had to just like repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat the sutra until you got it right exactly. Which is why when you read these Buddhist sutras, they sound very repetitive in nature. And that's on purpose because they were an oral tradition and they're supposed to be repetitive so you can remember it. So this word metta, when translated into English, 2,500 years later, can mean a variety of different things. It's a word that's very rich in meaning. It could be loving kindness, unconditional friendliness, goodwill, and it's simply a wish to be happy. And not only a wish to be happy, but a wish for us and others to do the things that cause happiness. Because that's what we want. The happier we are, the less we're going to attach to things. And that lessens our suffering, which is kind of why we're here. We don't want to suffer. So then that begs the question, well, what causes happiness? Right? And if you know the motto of the Dharma Bum Temple, you know what causes happiness. And if you don't know the Dharma Bum Temple, the motto I'm going to tell you right now. The motto of the Dharma Bum Temple is think good thoughts, speak good words, do good deeds. That's it. Buddhism is a practice of non-harming and doing having positive thoughts, speaking positive words, and doing positive deeds. Positive, well-intentioned, beneficial, those types of things. And those things cause happiness. And one of the great things that I love about this practice is that you can test that out for yourself, right? It's a testable practice. And so if you have, the more that you do this practice, you can see for yourself, is it causing positive mind states or not? Hopefully it is. And that I love that. So one of the other things I love is that there's a specific sutra. A sutra is just a teaching, and it is called the Teaching on Loving Kindness. And these are the Buddha's own words on loving kindness from 2,500 years ago. And I would like to read them now as I put my glasses on underneath this visor thingy. This might be a little strange. Okay, I got it. All right. So it says, this is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud or demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove. Wishing, in gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short, or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another. Even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness, one should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding. By not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. And I don't read this a lot, but when I do, but when I do, I marvel that someone was wise enough to understand humanity 2,500 years ago. And the same words that he wrote, that he spoke 25 years ago are just as relevant then as they are now. And so we're going to do this practice of loving kindness. And there's a word that they use in this sutra, and it says radiating over the entire world. And so when we think about sending loving kindness thoughts to others, that's what we're going to do. We're going to radiate. And however you understand that word radiate. I sometimes like to think of a beam of loving kindness going from my heart to theirs, wishing them happiness, wishing them that they do the things that cause happiness. And that seems to work for me. And this beam could be warm, it could be pulsing and vibrating, it could be, whatever you want. There's a lot of flexibility here. So how we're going to do this practice is this. So we're going to first start with wishing loving kindness for a benefactor. And a benefactor is anyone who has shown us great love or great kindness, someone it's really easy to have these feelings for and to do this practice for. You've lived a long time, however old you are, it's a long time, and it should be relatively easy to recall someone who's been really nice to you. An instance where you've really benefited from their generosity, their loving care, their kindness. They could be living, they could be not living, right? Doesn't matter. And then we're going to kind of shift our focus a little bit, and then we're going to imagine our benefactor doing this practice for us. And then the only thing that we have to do is just receive all of their loving kindness. And sometimes it really helps to put your hand over your heart when you're doing this part of the practice and just imagining receiving all of their loving kindness. You've done it before, you've received their loving kindness before, but can you now just receive it really fully? Listening for any areas of tension or tightness, any part of your heart that says, no, I don't think I can receive all of this. And can you then, if that happens, that's okay. Can you then breathe into that? Just giving it a little space, right? And then we're going to do this practice for ourselves, wishing loving kindness for ourselves. And I'll give you some phrases that you can use, or you can just kind of radiate loving kindness back onto yourself. That's fine. And then we're going to do this practice for all beings. And we're just going to go out as far as we possibly can. I like just to do that. Or if you want, you can just kind of limit it to like maybe everybody in this room, and then maybe everybody in this neighborhood or everybody in this city, and then just go out as far as you can that way. And that's it. And that's what we're going to do. I'm going to guide it. And so I'll give you some instructions along the way. But first, we're going to have some just kind of basic seating instructions. So you're fine there, sitting there. But if you're seated on a chair or a pew, you just want to make sure that your feet are flat on the floor with your legs a few inches apart, or you can have your legs crossed that way. That's fine. Your hands can be anywhere that's comfortable for you. So I put my hands on my legs or in my lap, and that's fine. I make sure that my back is, I'm not just kind of slouching like this, but I'm just kind of sitting relatively upright. My core is engaged a little bit, and because we want to try to keep our back straight, but not. So I like to make my back, like super duper straight, and then just kind of relax, right? Our eyes can be open, our eyes can be closed. Usually in the West, it's just easier to close the eyes, but if you don't want to do that, you don't have to. If you want, you could just make your eyes half closed. It's kind of looking 45 degrees down past your nose. And just, if during the meditation you run into any problems, you can't follow the breath, you can't concentrate or whatever, and it just kind of gets difficult, that's okay. You can just stop for a minute. Don't worry about my instructions, don't worry about anything. Take a couple of deep breaths. If you have to stretch, you can stretch. If you have to stand up, you can stand up. Right? It's all fine. And then after a couple of minutes, when you kind of got your center again, you can just sit back down and start again. All right, so let's do this, guys. Any questions before we start? Nope. Oh, hello, Marcel. All right, here we go. And so just allow your eyes to close, making sure you have that seated position that's nice and comfortable for you, nice and sustainable so you're not likely to move around too much. And when we sit like a Buddha. And you can even imagine yourselves as a Buddha sitting underneath your own tree of enlightenment. And each Buddha has their own tree. So you can imagine any tree you want. It's ready for the day's abiding. So let's just get connected to the breath. So let's just take a deep breath all the way in and all the way out. Not forcing it, letting the breath be quite easy and quite natural. And you can place your attention at the base of the nostril, feeling the air go in and out as you breathe, and just really developing this mindfulness of the breath. And then after a few breaths, you can use the breath if you want to just feel what's good to you. Is it better for you to take a deeper inhale or a deeper exhale? What kind of breath is going to keep you concentrated on the practice? Keep you concentrated on the present moment? If you have a thought that arises, that's fine. Just meet it with some mindfulness, and you can just say, thinking, and come back to the breath. So no matter how many times your mind gets lost in thought, each time, it's simply thinking and come back to the breath. In this practice, it's always okay to start over. There's no judgment about how many times we get lost in thought. We just come back every single time. So we'll just spend the next couple of moments getting connected to the breath. Now, to begin our practice of loving kindness, we're first going to think of our benefactor and call our benefactor to mind. And again, a benefactor is anyone who has shown us great love and great kindness. Someone it's really easy to have these feelings for. It's like it's no effort. It's no effort. And we picture this person in our mind's eye, and we just radiate loving kindness to them. Loving and kind thoughts, wishing them the best, wishing them to be free from pain and to be healthy and all these wonderful things. And however you want to do that, do this radiate is perfectly fine. Again, they could be living, they could be not living. Just remembering in gratitude the kindness and love that they showed you as you radiate loving kindness to them. And we'll do this for the next few moments. Loving kindness for our benefactor. And shifting our focus just a little from loving kindness for our benefactor to now imagining our benefactor doing this practice for us. And again, we can still picture our benefactor in our mind doing this practice for us, radiating loving kindness to us, and our only job is just to receive all of it. And it helps sometimes to put your hand over your heart when you're doing this part of the practice, seeing if you can receive all of their loving kindness, listening for any tension in the heart, any part of the heart that says, no, I can't accept all of this. And if that happens, that's okay. You don't have to react to it. Can you then just take a deep breath in and out? Just giving that tension some space, seeing what happens. No need to force it. If it's still tense, that's okay. Remembering their loving and kind acts to you as just receiving all of their loving kindness as much as you can. And we'll do this for the next few moments. And now, again, shifting our focus to probably the most important part of this practice, and that's loving kindness for ourselves. And so just recall your own wish to be happy, your own wish to be free from harm and healthy, to be safe and protected. It's a wish that you want for yourself, and it's a wish that we all want for ourselves. Like every person has this same wish. And to do this, there's a couple of different ways. You can keep your hand over your heart and just kind of radiate loving kindness back onto yourself, or imagine your heart getting bigger and warmer. Or you can just gently repeat phrases of loving kindness to yourself. Phrases like, may I be happy. May I be safe from inner and outer danger. May I be well in body and mind. May I be at peace and live at ease in this world. You can repeat one or more of those phrases to yourself gently. And you can still smile and keep your hand over your heart. So we'll do this for the next few moments. Loving kindness for ourselves. And now, can we now do this practice for all beings in all directions, exploring the limitless quality of the heart, because our heart does have this limitless potential. And how much of this potential can we realize in this part of the meditation? May all beings be happy. May all beings be at ease. And just going out as far as you can. Upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths. Outwards and unbounded. This is said to be the sublime abiding. And so we'll do this for the next few moments to end our meditation. Loving kindness for all beings. And just open your eyes when you're ready. And let's just take the next moment or two out in silence as we stretch our arms and we stretch our legs. And while we do so, keeping that mindfulness of loving kindness about us as much as we can. And we'll start. We'll start in about 1 minute. All right. Whew. So that was, like I said, it's always good for me, that meditation, but it was very strange. This is the first time again that I'm wearing this face shield, and it felt very strange giving instructions in this face shield. Like it almost had like a echo or kind of a reverberation kind of effect, a little bit, but hopefully you heard me okay, and that the instructions were relatively straightforward. Any questions on the instructions at all? Hopefully they were relatively straightforward. Okay. Oh, and welcome, Graham. Glad to have you with us. All right, so I'm always, especially when there were, well, not especially. It doesn't matter whether there are new people or not. I'm always interested to know what your experience of meditation is, especially something like this, which not a lot of people do, and they certainly don't do it in this way. Again, for our newer people, the way that I lead this loving kindness meditation is not the way that it's traditionally led. And that's on purpose. I always say that because of how we're conditioned in this culture, in this country, this culture, we could all do loving kindness for ourselves for 10 years, and it may not even be enough. We're so filled with that kind of self-denigration and negative self-talk and self-hatred and all these different types of things that we spend the rest of our lives trying to overcome. So I'm always interested to understand what your experience of meditation is, and it could be good or bad or anything in between. It's just your experience. And so this is, for anybody online as well. And you guys, is fine. Anybody want to share anything, any part that was easy or difficult or anything that may have happened during the meditation at all? Yes.
I thought it was pretty hard to concentrate in the self, exuding, self love or acceptance of yourself. the first and the last part were like somewhat easy because I can already, picture like who gave a lot of like of their like energy to me. For myself, it's like I found myself getting distracted.
Mm-hmm.
There's this part.
Yeah. And isn't that, let me ask a question. Has anyone else ever felt that as really difficult to do loving kindness for yourself? Of course, yeah. Everyone's raising their hand, even though they didn't. Of course they are. Of course it is. And that's the really interesting thing. And again, that's the thing about this experience, this kind of meditation. I'm talking about Buddhist meditation in general, and this kind of a mindfulness, like a mindfulness of loving kindness meditation. That this is really easy when I do it for my benefactor, because I had that experience, and I remember that they were so loving and kind to me and did this for me and did that for me and how that made me feel. And I'm so grateful for you. And this is easy, right? But again, when we do it for ourselves, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't do that. I can't let any of this in. And a really good way to deal with this is just to say, oh, okay. Because our first instinct is to really kind of start to repeat that negative self-talk back to us. I'm so bad because I can't do this for myself, right? And this is where we want to try to stop, right? Because this is what we're trying to heal, and we can't do that when we kind of pile on ourselves like this. And so we always try to just stop and say, we don't have to say anything. Can we just stop and just take a deep breath in with our hand over our heart? And again, you don't have to, keep on doing that part of the practice, just because that negativity is in here somewhere. You could feel it in your heart, which is why it's so important just to maybe put your hand over your heart, and seeing, kind of seeing what's there. And can you breathe into that and just give it some space and just let it breathe some. Okay. You don't have to examine it or anything like that, and just kind of let it breathe. But just note that it's so interesting that we have so much to give to others, but when we're trying to kind of fill our own tank, we don't have anything. Then what are we really giving if we don't have anything? And that's why I say all the time, you could do nothing but loving kindness for yourself for the next 10 years. And it would be the most beneficial thing you could possibly do, because when you do that, it'll naturally just spill onto other people. It would be effortless. If you've ever met Tibetan folks, there's a Tibetan monastery up in Valley Center. And if you've ever met the Tibetans, whose the majority of their practice is compassion and loving kindness, especially compassion, the compassion practice, that heart practice, and they are the most open-hearted, kind. It's like it's effortless for them because they've been doing this their entire lives. If you tell them something like self-hatred, they literally have no idea what you're talking about. Things like that don't occur to them. They had this one guy in Tibet, Tibetan monk, arrested by the Chinese, and in prison for 10 years, where he was tortured daily and beaten. And after 10 years, they released him, and he was just as open-hearted and as kind and as compassionate as he always was. And they asked him, well, during all of this torture and all of this beating, how could you not hate them for all of the stuff that they did to you? And he goes, well, you know, there was a couple of times where my compassion waned a little bit. And that's it. After 10 years of torture and beating, yeah, there was a couple of times my compassion waned a little bit. That's what this practice does. That's an example of what this practice can do for you, can do for all of us. And because I'm the same way as you, I still get, and certainly when I was first starting, I couldn't do loving kindness for myself. I mean, I did it because they said do it, but it was like trying to wish loving kindness to a wall of steel that's like 10 feet thick, trying to get to my heart on the other side. It couldn't penetrate. Now it's only like a foot thick. But it gets there, but I can still do this practice, and it feels really, really good now. Not Tibetan good, but good. So that's totally normal, and you'll get there. That was a really rambling answer to your question. I apologize. But I just thought of that story again. And so your questions could be about anything. Questions, comments, what you're doing for Christmas, if you celebrate Christmas. Yeah.
I was just gonna make a comment, because I happened to listen today to a podcast called Hidden Brain, and they had one episode that's called Being Kind to Yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so just to what you were saying, person here, that is that it's very common. It's most people have a much easier time with compassion towards others than they do towards themselves. And at the end of this, the woman giving all the data said that there were over 4,000 studies now about self-compassion.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just how it is. So it's definitely something that we all need. And it's a great podcast because it really went into what the effect of that is, what the effect of not being kind to ourselves is, and how it will translate to other relationships, and also where it comes from. It was quite fascinating.
And I think for me that's another reason why I just love this practice, because I'm a nerd. It's science-based. There are all these peer-reviewed articles, peer-reviewed journal articles on mindfulness, on meditation, on loving kindness, on compassion, on all of these that say, here are the measurements. Here's what this is. And even the Dalai Lama, the head of Tibetan Buddhism, he says, hey, if science disproves a practice that we have or a tenet that we have in Buddhism, I'm going to go with science. And he's really, really wise that way. And so you can look at, there's so many articles and reviews and tests and studies and all these different types of things that show the benefits of mindfulness, of loving kindness, of all of these different types of practices, about what happens. Because right now, with the way that we're conditioned in this culture, we're eating ourselves from the inside. We're just rotting inside. And it's so hard for us. And that's another reason why I do this practice the way that we do it. Because what I don't do, and this is for our newer people, the part of the practice that's traditionally taught that I don't do is a loving kindness for a neutral person and a loving kindness for the enemy. It's like, yeah, we'll get there. The enemy doesn't need any more of our headspace right now. We hate ourselves enough. because, I've seen like a couple of people have been, I really like doing this for the enemy. Yeah, because you're conditioned to. You're conditioned to give the enemy all of your thoughts and all of your mind space, and reliving those things over and over. And we need to develop different pathways, different neural pathways, which is why loving kindness for yourself is so important. Looks like you wanted to raise your hand a little bit, or did you want to say something else?
Oh, no.
Okay. Oh, you're just stretching and scratching? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else?
I'd like to share my.
Yeah, go ahead.
So it's beautiful. Thank you for teaching. And it's just interesting, like the meditation tonight on loving kindness, because I've been studying in my heart chakra today. And it came from my morning practice. And yet, my benefactor that I brought in is a business partner / someone I work for / mentor / a lot of things, very loving brother. And I had a business meeting with him earlier today, and he wasn't very nice. And I know that's not his intention, and so, but I still brought him in and shared that love with him as he shares the love with me. And in my morning practice, I share love with all at the end of my practice. And so the self-hatred thing, why I didn't raise my hand on that is because I've had this practice for 30 plus years, and for the fact that I made this lifestyle change, it just, the fact that there's been a change in that is an act of loving kindness. And a simple act of loving kindness for me leads to many acts of kindness within myself. And the way that I practiced this morning, the way that I ate today, the taking time for myself, and so that's just, and being here tonight, expanding my spiritual experience. And so again, an act of kindness, and that reason. I mean, I grew up being told I was loved by loving parents. I was conceived from love, from that love, and told I was loved. And so to believe I'm not loved is not the truth. And yet I've acted not so loving to myself many times. And yet I come back to that. And either that's my truth or I got a great denial system. And I know at times I have a really great denial system.
Sure.
By my actions, because they're not very kind and loving. And yet the awareness of that is very kind and loving. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's wonderful. Thank you. Well, thank you, everybody. It's wonderful to be here and to share this practice with you. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever you celebrate or not. I'm just grateful to be here with you. And so let's join our palms together at our hearts, please. And may the benefits of this meditation, this discussion, be received by all beings. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be joyful and at ease. May all beings be happy. May all beings be loved and seen for the beautiful, radiant beings that they are, that you are. Thank you for coming. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your day, or rest of your week. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. See you guys. See you guys. Take care. Take care. Ahmad, good to see you. Good to see you.
Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you. Thank you. Merry Christmas. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you online, folks. Thank you. Thank you, Graham.